Welcome to Mr. New's art class. It's wonderful to see your smiling faces. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mr. Newquist, but folks call me Mr. New because it's easier to say and it's easier to remember. But even though people call me Mr. New, I'm not a new teacher anymore. I've been teaching for about 12 years now. Anyway, it's wonderful to see your smiling faces, and I really look forward to being your art teacher. Let's get started. This video will be the first in a series all about how to draw different kinds of places. In this series, we'll learn how to draw buildings, we'll learn how to draw trees and sunsets. We'll learn how to make thick jungles and wide open farms. We'll also talk about how to draw the sky. In order to jumpstart this series, today's lesson is going to be about how to draw geometric and organic shapes. The kinds of shapes that we're going to need to understand how to use throughout this whole series. So you might be wondering, what are organic and geometric shapes? What do those words even mean? Well, I've got some examples here. Geometric shapes are shapes that are usually look like they're more man-made. Organic shapes usually look like they're more like from nature. Huh? Well, grab a pencil or a marker or a crayon or something and follow along with me. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to flip to a brand new piece of paper, and a pencil would work, or a crayon or a marker or anything. Really, just grab something to draw with. I'm actually going to use a marker because it'll show up on the camera screen better. So let's roll. First, split your paper down the middle because we're practicing two different kinds of things today. We're going to practice one on this side and one on that side. Next, let's label what it is we're practicing here. Geometric, G-E-O-M-E-T-R-I-C, shapes, geometric shapes. You've probably heard that word before. Maybe when you're in a math class, your teacher says, we're going to be learning about geometric shapes today. And then the second word is organic, O-R, on the other side here, O-R-G-A-N-I-C, geometric and organic. You might have heard the word organic before. Maybe you were at the grocery store and you saw some organic green beans or organic fruit. So organic means like natural, like the kinds of things you would see in nature. And geometric means more mathematical, more man-made, things like that. Let's give a more detailed analysis, a more detailed definition than that, though. Geometric shapes usually have names. What is the name of that shape? Yeah, you just drew a square. Let's also draw some other shapes that have names. This one has a name. It's a triangle. This one has a name. It's a circle. This one has a name. It's a rectangle. This one has a name. It's a star. Geometric shapes can also be defined by the type of lines that are used to make them. Notice that all of these, except the circle, are made using straight lines. If I just start putting a bunch of straight lines together, and don't let any of my lines be curvy, just straight, that is an organic, I just lied. That's not organic. That is a geometric shape. Geometric. Why? Because it's all made out of straight lines. Okay? Any shape that is just made out of straight lines is geometric. Well, what about this circle? That circle isn't made of straight lines like all the rest, so why is a circle called a geometric shape? Well, it's because a circle is still a very precisely drawn shape, right? Even an oval, where you stretch that circle out, is very precisely drawn. right? If we start doing wiggles that aren't very precise, that's organic. But these, like you could describe this with a mathematical equation. That's why it's called geometric. And in fact, any shape that uses straight lines and perfect circles together is also called a geometric shape. For example, a semicircle. It's got one straight line, and then the other half is half of a perfect circle, right? That's called a semicircle. Well, there's this other cool shape that's like a semicircle. Think of it like a square with a semicircle on top and a semicircle on the bottom and a semicircle on the right and a semicircle on the left. That shape is called a quatrefoil, and it is definitely geometric. Notice how it's all pieced together out of perfect circles and straight lines. So let's practice that for a minute. Just make up as many geometric shapes as you can. They could be shapes like these that have names, like you could do a rhombus or a trapezoid or a parallelogram, or they could be shapes like this that are completely made up just using a bunch of straight lines, and you could even throw in some perfect circle, like pieces of perfect circles in there too. Just spend a minute practicing that, and then we'll come back and talk more about organic shapes. All right, so all of those are geometric shapes because they are entirely built out of straight lines and perfect circles, or perfect ovals, or pieces of perfect circles and ovals. Let's now talk about organic shapes. So the definition of organic shapes really would be anything that's not geometric. So usually organic shapes are not made out of any straight lines, just curves. And notice that that curve there is not a perfect circle or perfect oval kind of a curve. See how it kind of like changes direction? Okay. Now, organic shapes can sometimes have sharp points, or sometimes no sharp points, like this wiggly shape, right? Sometimes organic shapes can be very uniform, very, the same all the way across, like that wormy shape. Sometimes organic shapes change a lot, and they get like different sizes and have things going out in lots of different directions. So, really, there's like no wrong way to make an organic shape, except using straight lines. Or perfect circles. You don't want perfect circles in your organic shapes either. I mean, a perfect circle as part of it wouldn't be the end of the world, but you get what I mean. We see organic shapes in nature all the time. Some specific examples would be a leafy shape, or a lot of times in nature we see hook shapes, claw shapes, things like that. Also, a lot of times in nature, we see things that sort of loop or spiral. Also, a lot of times in nature, we see things that are like wide at the base and then get narrower as they come up, and either come to a point or a rounded edge at the top. Also, a lot of times in nature, we see things that branch. So maybe it would start going one direction, and then it would kind of branch and go in different directions, right? So something like that. See how it like branches off, splits in different directions? Now, you spend a little bit of time practicing organic shapes. And there you go, that's a bunch of organic shapes. Now, when we've drawn them side by side like this, you can very clearly see the difference between geometric and organic shapes. It's like all straight lines over here and all wiggly curvies over here, right? Now, these different kinds of shapes will be used for different things. So in this lesson, we focused on how to draw geometric and organic shapes. In the next lesson, we'll discuss how those geometric shapes can be used to create buildings and cities. I can't wait to see you then.